My name is Baruch Spinoza, and I was excommunicated for asking a simple question. What if God is not a person on a throne, taking sides in your arguments? What if God is the word you once used for something far stranger and far more demanding, the total structure of reality itself? In my time, that question was enough to have my name cursed in my own synagogue. In yours, the team at the most excellent adventure has dragged me forward a few centuries so I can watch presidents, preachers, and billionaires all insist that God is definitely on their side. I have listened to your speeches. I have watched your rallies. I have heard people claim that God wants their nation to win, their party to triumph, their candidate to be acquitted, their investments to grow. I have terrible news for you: reality does not take sides. When I spoke of God, I did not mean a celestial politician who endorses your brand of cruelty. I meant the one infinite substance of which everything is a part, governed by necessity and structure. The laws of this reality are not suspended because you wave a flag, or quote a verse, or stroke a check. You cannot bribe gravity. You cannot filibuster disease. You cannot pass a law repealing cause and effect. You can delay consequences. You cannot escape them. In your world, the name of God is constantly invoked as if it were a kind of cosmic campaign slogan. God bless this nation. God bless the market. God is on the side of the faithful, by which each faction always means us. You picture the universe like a courtroom where God is the judge, and your nation, your party, your class is the favored lawyer whispering in his ear. I pictured the universe as something more like a vast geometric proof where form governs appearance. Every line follows from what came before. No special pleadings. No secret shortcuts. The difference between these images is not just theological. It is political. It is ethical. It changes how you treat one another. If God is a character who rewards your tribe, then all you need to justify your actions is the conviction that you are the chosen ones. However, if God is the structure of reality itself, then the only question that matters is, are you living in harmony with that structure, or against it? Look at how you talk when you want to excuse injustice. You say things like, "It was meant to be." That is just the way the world works. If they are poor, lazy, or suffering, perhaps God is punishing them. You wrap your indifference in piety and call it faith. No. What you call the way the world works is very often just the way you have chosen to arrange your systems, your economies, your borders, your prisons, your hierarchies. You design the game, hand some people loaded dice, and then praise God when they win. In my time, I lived in Amsterdam among merchants who believed that their success proved divine favor. Wealth was not just money, it was a sign that God smiled upon you. If the poor suffered, it was said that Providence must have reasons. You have not evolved as much as you flatter yourselves you have. Listen to your prosperity gospel preachers. Listen to your pundits who insist that billionaires are obviously superior beings. Listen to politicians who claim that their electoral victories are miracles, while their defeats are fraud. This is not theology. This is superstition dressed in a suit. The universe I tried to describe is indifferent to your flattery. Its laws are not written with your flag in mind. They apply equally to everyone, to the righteous and the wicked, to kings and to cleaners, to the citizen and to the stranger at your border. You may chant that God loves your nation best. But if you poison your water, exhaust your soil, and eat your atmosphere, the structure of reality will not make an exception out of patriotism. You may declare that God favors your company. But if you grind workers into dust, cook the books, and gamble with other people's livelihoods, the structure of reality will eventually balance that equation, often in ways you will call unforeseen. You may announce that God has singled out your leader as a new Messiah. But if he lies as easily as he breathes, if he encourages hatred, if he convinces you to reject evidence and worship him instead, reality will not rewrite itself simply because a crowd enjoys the story. You can lie to yourselves. You can lie to each other. You cannot lie to the totality of what is. You have a strange habit in this century. Whenever something goes well, you credit God's love for you. Whenever your actions produce misery, you blame fate, or the victims, or enemies, or abstract forces beyond your control. You rarely look at the chain of causes that led from your choices to your outcomes. You treat consequences as insults rather than information. When a society stacks wealth in the hands of a few and leaves millions scrambling, lonely, and desperate, you are witnessing not a cosmic mystery but a slow, grinding equation. Inputs lead to outputs. Incentives lead to behaviors. You built the machine. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. When you flood your media with lies, entertainments, and rage, you should not be surprised when people lose any stable sense of truth. Your minds are not magical. They are shaped by what they consume. You cannot feed a population poison and then complain that they are weak. When you glorify violence in your politics, idolize strongmen, and dismiss compassion as weakness, you should expect your streets and institutions to fill with people who act accordingly. You cannot venerate ruthlessness and then pray for gentle outcomes. This is what I mean when I say that reality does not take sides. It responds according to its nature. If you plant thorns, do not expect roses. Many of you hear this and say, so you believe in fate. We are just puppets. Nothing matters? That is not what I believed, and it is not what I am saying. You are not puppets. You are not free from cause and effect, but you are also not outside of it. You are part of the chain of causes. Your thoughts, your desires, your efforts are real forces in this system. When you understand more, you can act differently. When you act differently, the future changes. Freedom, for me, was not the child's fantasy of doing anything at all without consequence. Freedom was understanding. Freedom was living in accordance with the necessity of things rather than imagining you can declare the universe otherwise by sheer force of will. In your age, many people call this taking responsibility. Others call it growing up. You like to think of yourselves as advanced. You have machines that can hurl your words around the world instantly. You can peer into the heart of atoms. You can send other machines to wander on distant planets. Yet in politics and religion you often behave like frightened tribes under the stars, fighting over whose idol is taller. You wrap your cruelty and your fear in the language of divine favoritism. You say God is on the side of your border guards as they tear children from parents. You say God is on the side of your police when they crush dissent. You say God is on the side of your investments as they devour forests and oceans. You say God is on the side of your leaders when they turn whole groups of human beings into monsters, vermin, enemies of the people. Ask yourself something simple. If your God always hates exactly the people your party hates, always loves exactly the people your class loves, perhaps you are not worshipping God. Perhaps you are worshipping yourselves with thunder sound effects. The God I was excommunicated for describing had no chosen nations, no favorite billionaires, no special race. There was only one vast, coherent reality in which all things are modes, expressions of the same underlying substance. You and the stranger. You and the person you fear. You and the person you despise. The saint and the criminal. All different configurations of the same underlying being. You do not have to like everyone. But if you imagine that there is some metaphysical border where your group becomes truly human and others do not, you are lying about the nature of existence. This has consequences. If reality is one, harm does not simply disappear because you shunt it onto someone else. When you build your comfort on another's misery, that misery does not vanish. It concentrates, it warps minds and bodies, it builds pressure. It moves through families, through neighborhoods, through time. Eventually, it finds its way back into your own life, in forms you may not recognize as connected, but which are. Call it feedback, return flow, conservation. I would call it the inevitable unfolding of causes through a single connected system. You have designed economies where profit is privatized and damage is socialized. Where those at the top keep the benefits and distribute the costs, pollution, stress, broken communities, preventable deaths. Then you wonder why your politics are full of rage, why despair spreads, why trust collapses. It is because you are trying to break a law that cannot be broken, that in a single system, you cannot forever treat some lives as disposable and expect your own to remain untouched. Some of you fear that if you give up the idea of a God who is personally on your side, you will lose hope. I suggest the opposite. Hope built on illusion is fragile. Hope built on a clear view of reality is resilient. If God is just a cosmic fan of your tribe, then every defeat is a crisis of faith. If God is the structure of reality itself, then your task is not to flatter Him, but to understand and cooperate with that structure, to build systems that honor the way human beings actually are, the way ecosystems actually work, the way incentives actually function. You do not need heaven to promise you that poisoning your rivers is unwise. The fish, the cancer rates, and the empty taps will tell you. You do not need a burning bush to reveal that caging millions and trapping them in cycles of poverty is dangerous. The crime rates, the broken families, the rising authoritarianism will tell you. You do not need a booming voice in the clouds to inform you that arming fanatics with weapons and propaganda will end badly. History, which is just a very long data set, has already done that experiment for you. The question is not what does God want, in the childish sense of which team will He bless? The question is, given the nature of reality, what happens if we keep doing this? That question is not as poetic, but it is infinitely more useful. The people at the most excellent adventure did not bring me here to give you new dogmas. They brought me because your age is drowning in dogma dressed up as politics and patriotism. You are told that questioning these stories is betrayal. You are told that loyalty requires you to believe what you can see is false. I am here to tell you that your first loyalty is not to a party, not to a nation, not even to your own comfort. Your first loyalty, if you want a life that is more than noise and harm, is to reality. Reality will not flatter you. It will not promise that your group is special and safe while others are expendable. It will also not abandon you if you choose to see it more clearly. When you stop asking, is God on our side, and start asking, are we aligned with how things actually work, something remarkable happens. You become harder to manipulate. Politicians cannot buy your vote with flattery alone. Preachers cannot sell you hatred as holiness. Billionaires cannot convince you that their enrichment is your destiny. You will still make mistakes. You will still have conflicts. But you will at least be arguing in the right arena. I am not naive. I know many people find it comforting to believe that the personal God is keeping score and will, in the end, sort everything out in their favor. If that belief makes you kinder, more honest, more courageous, then I will not try to steal it from you. But if that belief is being used as a shield for oppression, as a justification for cruelty, as an excuse to ignore the structures that are crushing millions of lives right now, then you are not talking about God. You are talking about an idol made in your image. You do not need that idol. You need the courage to look at the world as it is, and the determination to reshape your systems so that they no longer depend on lease. If you want more of these conversations, more dead philosophers, saints, revolutionaries, and troublemakers pulled into your century to tell you, without flattery, what they see, subscribe to this channel, a most excellent adventure. Listen, argue, let these voices unsettle you. And then, when the speeches end and the screen goes dark, ask yourself the only question that really matters. Not, is God on my side? But, am I living in a way that respects the reality we all share?